It's good to have you here today, Geoff. Welcome.
Welcome.
So Ethel is going to go over some images for Geoff, and then his information will be flashed on the screen, and then Geoff will give us a presentation.
Yay. So we're going to do a share screen now, Geoff.
Okay.
Ready? Okay. So we always say if you have not followed our guests on their socials, we should do that to keep receiving inspiration. And today we're gonna have Geoff, of course. Geoff, this is his Instagram account, is Geoff Allen Art. And of course, he's also on Facebook. And he has this beautiful website there. It's his name, www.geoffallenart.com. And then Geoff, the next couple of slides are the sample artworks. And of course, we want to hear a line or two for each of these. We begin with this artwork here.
Oh, this is in San Clemente, and this was plein air. I paint mostly plein air, and I think my work's fresher that day, or when I do plein air. And this was during a competition. I walked right out after I got this stamped and painted this, and it ended up getting first place. It won the award for the event.
It is gorgeous work.
Oh, this is Spanish Village in San Diego, and it's like one of the tourist attractions. This is plein air as well, and it's just I just love the trees around there, and I'm always trying to hunt down a little architecture and an archway. Yeah, it's a great. Gabriel Stockton has his gallery in that same plaza. And I think I paint a lot with the San Diego Watercolor Society. It's a really great organization down here. And also, in this particular one is up in Laguna, and I'm also a member of, it's called La Papa Laguna Plein Air Painters Association. And this actually won their best of show for the best of plein air last year. And this was plein air as well. I know, I think it took a lot of adrenaline to do this one because it was just such a busy intersection to be focused. And this one, best of show at Waterworks up in the La Papa Gallery. And this is an Oceanside. It's one of my haunts. It's just like 8 miles up the road. It's a great little harbor. It's always quiet, and so I love going up there. Another plein air.
Beautiful reflections.
Oh, thank you. And this is plein air as well. And actually, it just got, I donated it to the Watercolor Society for like a raffle, and it made like $3,700. So that was really good for them. And this is an Oceanside as well. So, and this is Crystal Cove. And this was almost about a year ago. I did this one, and it was right after rain. And so many people paint there, and I was so happy that there was all this water around, and that I caught that reflection. I was like, oh, that's different, because I've seen so many paintings, but I haven't seen that many with that little turquoise house in reflected in the water. So I really went for that. And this is plein air as well.
And that would be the last image on the presentation slide.
Oh, okay.
So that's beautiful work.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. I'm
How
glad we showed all the plein air stuff.
How long does it take you to finish a piece, Geoff?
Usually I spend like an hour and a half outside painting, and then I'll finish up in the studio, and I get 90% of it done. And then, it's that last little bit that you do where you can totally screw it up or make it. You can take something that's pretty good and make it way better, and the opposite can happen. It can be pretty good, you can totally mess it up with those last little things. So I like to do that in the studio. I do more thinking than painting.
Awesome.
Jeff, and if you mess it up, do you do it again in your studio from the original pen
You
play?
know what?
Or you never mess it up?
No, I don't. I really don't do that much. I'm really guided by my enthusiasm to do something. And so, and it's never as fresh. I feel like I'm trying to get that plein air feel to happen in the studio, but I think it's really difficult. And I think it's just getting those hours of going back and forth. But I've been painting in the studio because it's been a little cold, haven't been out, and I've been up against that. I was like, oh, that looks contrived, or that looks it looks like I meant to do it instead of it just happening. So
Okay, thanks.
you know what?
So Jeff,
Oh yeah.
anytime you'd like to start.
Oh, your audio went out. Did you want me to start?
Sure. Yes, please.
Oh, okay.
We'll give you as
Okay,
much
I'm
time
going to
as
switch
possible.
over to my overhead camera and I'll just get going.
Is it okay if people ask you questions as you paint, or would you like to wait to
Oh,
think?
absolutely. I was telling
Jeff, while you're
someone that,
switching over, I put your color palette that you gave to Ethel in the chat. So if people have questions about the color palette, I can help that way.
oh, okay.
Fantastic.
Well, I
Ashley.
took a picture of it and just so I could talk about it as well, just really quickly. And it's hard for me to name all of them, so hopefully people will see it. But the one thing that I've discovered I'm using quite a bit is Alvaro's fresco gray. I've been using that quite a bit. And the King's Royal Blue, I think I added that to the list that I gave you. And the manganese blue, which is I have over here. So anyhow, and what I'm going to be working on today, I just wanted to talk really quickly about like a concept of having degrees of separation from your whatever you're painting. And this is a picture that I took. I was driving with, and I took it with my iPhone, and I took like several. I'm not even sure if this is the same site, but it's just side of the road pictures, and I'm sort of blending both these pictures into one piece. And this idea of degrees of separation, like I don't like to necessarily work from one photo and go with it. I think I'm more comfortable mimicking the outdoor process of plein air because it's always changing outside, and so it's almost like I do the same in the studio. So I don't like to copy anything, and if anything, I always start with like a little sketch. This is my quick little sketch. This is exactly something that I would do out in the field. And so just doing the sketch helps me get away from whatever the my subject is, so I can think about design things. I'm more likely to see a design avenue doing from the sketch than I would looking at the actual object. Like for instance, like these diagonals I'm making, and this is bigger than that, and changing shapes and spaces between things. Like I think that just helps me with the sketch. So I guess I'll just get going. One of my things that I really liked, I got a humidifier. I'm just going to turn that on. So the humidity in here is 46. In the winter, it's usually not as damp and dry because of the heat. Anyhow, it's going to extend my drying time on my painting. So I'm just going to start with the cloud. I'm just going to start with use some of the manganese. Oops. And organic vermilion red. And I do this just so that I can see what I'm putting on here. And a while back, like my biggest inspirations, I think, are Joseph Zabukovich and Chen Changwei. And I took workshops from both of them. And so I feel like I sort of go back and forth from their two being influenced by them. And I like to pre-mix a lot of my colors, and I'm just really trying to this is a little that Alvaro's gray. And I just want to mix, I'm going to keep mixing a little of this red in things just so that they connect. Oops, a little bit too much. And I'm just going for like a little thicker mixture here, and I just want to gray it down a bit. And it's the mixture thickness is so important just because, oops, I don't, this is I'm gonna start off really wet, and then I'm just gonna back it off a little bit. And I'll just put a little bit of that red in here if I can get a little bit. Okay, so I'll get going. One thing that, you know, I had a lot of my start of painting in watercolor. I did some in school, but really the most I did was my wife and I have an illustration business. And I I think that's when I started splattering so much. I'm just gonna actually I'm gonna use my goat brush because it lets go the water a little easier. And I have a cloud outlined here, and I'm just gonna splatter around. I like how splattering creates a natural edge, and I like how it gets like different little puddles of different water. Might have been a little bit redder than I want, but and actually I'm on a ball joint, so I can kind of turn my easel here quite a bit, and sometimes, and if I want to warm that up, I'll just splatter another color and then.
Before the end of the presentation, are you willing to show us the ball joint and how the mechanics work?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Thanks.
I think I think I did like some YouTube video of how that worked to take a little of that. Just, I know it's going to fade, and so just putting that up there.
Hey, Jeff, somebody is asking, how large are your paintings?
Oh, this is 11 by, oops. I stuck my finger in some paint. Let's see, this is, it's quarter sheet is what this is. So just gonna give it a little, buy myself a little time.
Thank you.
That's usually when I paint outside, that's usually what I do, just because it's like, it's definitely way easier.
So 28 by 38 centimeters.
I'm not sure the center, I couldn't tell you exactly the
Centimeters,
center.
yes. Yeah. 28 by 38. I don't know in inches.
Well, thank you.
Would that be 11 by 14 inches? Does anybody know?
11 by 15.
11 by
11 by
15.
15.
Yeah.
Take a little of this. I just want to soften some of these up. I can get rid of some of that. So as I know, I'd like to start off that way because it all of a sudden it's like I have to commit to what I'm doing as well, I think. And I'm just adding sort of the shadow side of this. It gets very, very confusing really quickly, but I find that I kind of like these results more than sort of like, using like a rough brush to get it down. And if I can just let the water, and this, as I'm doing this, sometimes like I'll tilt my board too, just to, see if I can't get things to run a certain way, but it's just, to me, it's this letting the, it's like a set and let, so I try and set things in motion and then like let them be. So I'm just gonna. Okay, and then just go into my shadows, come right up against things. I love these because these goat hair, just because it's like a lot of water, little point.
What brand are those goat hair brushes?
Tintoretto, if I'm saying that correctly.
Nice. Yeah, I think you are.
Oops. I don't like doing passionate strokes and then coming back and sort of fixing something just so I can open up the stroke a bit.
Jeff,
mean-
what size is that brush?
8.
80?
Mhm.
Oh, good. I got one.
Do you have one? I really love
I
them.
just took it out of the plastic.
I love them so much. And I know people probably go, oh, goat hair brush, it's going to
Mm.
go everywhere and they're messy. And I kind of like, I use all the hairs. Like they do come
Hi.
out at the tip, but then
Yeah.
it just makes a better point is how I kind of see it. It's like I can, even though it's like a big mop, I get a better point off of this than I do a synthetic.
Jeff, what's your favorite kind of paper to use?
I like probably Arches and Saunders. Although there's a German brand, and I'm going to butcher. I can't even say it correctly.
Animule.
Thank you. And someone always knows, and so I just say that, and someone kind of comes through with the.
It's a
Correct.
beautiful paper.
Oh, I love the softness of it, and
It's hard to find.
well, I've been able to get it
Online.
so far.
If you're online, Cheap Joe's, all of those, they carry it.
Yeah,
Really?
that is fun.
They do, but they have many different variety,
Right.
different qualities.
Right, so Jerry's Autorama, I think Cheap Joe's, Blick. So it's easy to find.
Okay. I'll look harder.
Oh, and then I'm just going to go for a smaller brush just to, and try and use colors I already have out just to, if I want to, create any kind of accent. Just put a couple those, and I think I might just go ahead and just put some blues in. And so I just, it's a really bad habit of mine, but I love taking pictures while I'm driving. I don't know if anyone else does that. But
I do. I do.
thought it was only me.
I know I'm going to get in an accident.
Stay
I'm
out of
gonna
your
go, how
way.
stupid was
Stay out of your
that?
way. What kind of
Yeah,
car do you
because
drive?
all
I
of a
hope-
sudden, you see the most wonderful scene and you cannot miss it.
I
You
I
I
know.
have to
just
get
feel
the
like you
cap-
can't capture it. I can never capture it the way that it looks, and I get so
I know.
frustrated.
That is true. Well,
Well,
sometimes.
But that's
yeah,
precisely why
it's-
we paint,
I
to
know,
capture it.
Right?
make it
it
better
kinda
than
sets up-
photograph.
It kind of sets up that, oops. I know we want to paint, we want to capture something, so it's don't like that.
I've always wanted a bumper sticker saying I break for beauty.
I break for beauty. That's a good one. So usually like when I'm doing this, I'm just trying to paint light. I'm trying to use lots of water. I'm trying to make softness. I'm trying to do a few hue shifts, like going from the kind of the warm to the cooler. And I'll just try and put a few things into you know, like say accents, like if I want to put anything that's a little bit more of a color. Sometimes I try and do that now, but sometimes it's dangerous if it mixes with other things. But I'm just gonna try and put
Get too impatient.
my it feels like surgery sometimes when you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just, and you know, it's like the paper tells you when to do certain things, and it's like I want to put in, you know, more going on in this foreground area.
Can you tell us the
Richen that
types,
up
the
a
two
bit.
blues you've been using?
Oh,
so
the manganese and
King's Blue.
actually, I think I've been using all of them. I think I'm just going to do this little, just to get a little texture right. I really just want to focus a lot of my activity right along here. And so that's why I don't mind if, you know, doing this right now, just if something can happen. And I think I might end up doing a blow dryer just to, now, if I do the blow dryer, will it make too much of a noise for us?
No, the noise will be canceled. Don't worry.
Okay, okay.
I wonder, Jeff, how you deal with the drying outside when you are plein air painting. Because, well, I live in the desert, so my humidity is a lot lower. But how do you deal with that for an hour and a half, the breeze in Laguna?
I think what I was really interested in this is I wanted to dry this because I really want to focus in on this tree here. And I usually, no matter what I do when I'm painting outdoors, like that first wash, I think it's best to always stick with what you end up doing. Like, you know, maybe it should have been darker, it should have been lighter, but I always find like when I go back and I try and make it just perfect, I usually kind of screw it up. Like, so, and I think that's what just takes doing it so many times, is so just to get a sense of what you're doing. So I'm going to use a brush quite a bit. I made this brush. I got this brush off eBay. I pushed it's just a Chinese, I'm not even sure which hair it is. It's not goat, I know that. But because I put the pins up into it, it splays it, and I use it for trees, and it holds water rather well. This is I call this sort of my muck part of my palette, and I have some, actually, I think that might have been jadeite green. I'm mixing it with some Sedona. Those are two colors that I've used in the past, and but usually, and a lot of times I use, just to mix my green, this phthalo, because it's so fast. It's so, and here's sepia, and it's just and I can really go from a warm to a blue really, really quickly. And I'm just going to wipe up a lot of my all this wetness I don't need right now in this. I want to thicken up my paint, so we'll add a little burnt sienna, and I can always go back, add some more of that. And I'm just going to take some of that mixture, and I'm just going to brighten it up a little bit with my Hansa yellow medium. I have I think I have 2 yellows in here. One's a chrome, I can't even, titantate, that might be. And I've started using that. I love the softness of it. And I have a Hands of Deep too. So, but it's really important to me.
Nickel titanate, maybe?
Oh, say
or-
again?
Nickel titanate, is it?
No, it's chrome. Begins with
Chrome.
chrome. Yeah, but it's just like softer. And so I don't know, I just found it easier to handle when I was doing these kind of landscapes. And I think I pulled from it. Okay. And one thing I wish I did, which is too late, but I wish I put some warmth in there, but I'll figure that out. Okay, so I'm just gonna, this is probably still a little wet down here, but I'm gonna start up here. And one thing that I do like to do, oops, is do like pre-wetting the like I like to alternate wetting of the area that I'm going to work in, and sometimes I do it before and then I do it after. So like if I want to just add something, I make a channel of oops, of water wherever I want it to be blurred, and I'll just let put that down, and then later I'll go and I'll add some more water by maybe misting. And these I'm not sure if you can see them, but I have some outlines. I'm going to try and mist those areas. And just for my brushes that I'll be using, usually for messing around with trees, this is sort of my setup. And this is that brush I made. I sometimes use a fan brush. This just is my overall Escoda just to work with. And this is another Tintoretto 1408 liner brush. And I really love it for just doing so many things. And so you'll see me use that. But I sort of start off with my made brush. And, I really think it's like you have to invent your own like making your own brushes. It's like, I think I love that I did it because it's like I'm making my own way in how I paint. And sometimes I feel like it starts with the brushes. So I just throw a little paint on just because I'm not even sure what it's going to do. So I'm just going to try and do these really quick. And I just try and miss my marks just because I want to keep those open spaces. And
Is
sort
the
of some of
paper
my
dry, Jeff? Is the paper totally dry?
So parts of it are wet and parts are dry.
But
So
where
I'm
you're
just,
painting now,
pardon?
where you're painting now, is it half dry, half wet?
I went through and I there's wetness here, there's a little here, and sometimes I'll even add a little more and let it run through, depending on, where it's at. So let's just, sometimes these trees, they have like a little warmth up top. I just want to kind of, so I'm trying to avoid I want to keep some open spaces. And then, a lot of times, like if something's too textural and I want that texture to be somewhere else, I might just, I'm just going to mask it with my arm and just try and give it like a little, see what happens there. Now I'm just going to take my Tintoretto brush. I'm going to even make something thicker if I can, just because I don't want it to get lost. And I'm just going to come up here and make some, these are eucalyptus trees, and I have some nice, and this, I'm not even sure if I said this picture is from Sonoma, and I do it's an event up there at a plein air event, and that's where I took these photos. So I'm just going to come down here. It's like this brush is sort of wily. I don't know what, you know, it's just, it has a mind of its own. So I kind of like that. And I want something to happen here. And I wanted these open spaces so I could cut through like a branch. And the thicker this is, the more likely it won't get, I don't know. And I am sort of intuitive in like, I might add a couple marks I don't expect. I usually make my trees just a little bit smaller than I want them because they end up growing as I paint them. Anyhow, and I think trees are just the hardest thing to do in a painting. I'm just gonna, and to me, like,
Geoff,
yeah,
what colors did you mix for the trees? Was
I
it
had some jadeite green, I believe that's what it's called, and some Sedona, like it's almost like a burnt sienna. And I used some of the phthalo green shade and a little orange and sepia. And I might have put some red in there too.
okay?
So,
Thank you.
yeah. So I'm just
That's
gonna
a great
blue
tree.
up. I want this tree to be a little bit different shade. So I put a little blue. Let's darken this up. And I just splayed the edges. Usually use my palette. I kind of learned that from oil painting. And I'm just gonna maybe quickly make some other colors over here that might be. There's a bunch of barn stuff over here. And I'm just looking, it's still too wet. I like, this is, I can't even remember if I said Arches Rough 140, and I like Arches, it's such a tough paper. And I really do like using it because you can just scratch into it. You can do so many things. I just want to go into this barn. So I try and use what's on my palette to and I do all this, you know, just keep amending the palette a little bit. I really want to make this dark. So I'm just going to go in, maybe even a little Alvaro's gray. So if I make it thick enough, I'll be able to use to drag something through it. And this is a farm, so there's a lot of just crazy stuff. I might even put some red in just to denote maybe some machinery or something. So I'm just going to keep sort of going down the line here. And sometimes if something looks a little bit too pure, which I'm thinking it might, I just might throw in some other colors. And I usually apply at this stage, instead of trying to put it in, I sort of like to splatter it in as a way of adding. And some of these splatter marks, if they're, you know, if they look too splattery, I'll just hit them with my brush and all of a sudden it's like they just become, you know, some more tree texture. And I think like to me, this is the area I want people to look at. So to me, it's okay to spend time here. Whereas other parts, I can get away with.
Geoff, how do you prepare your paper before you go out? Do you just cut it? Do you tape it up? Do you soak it or wet it?
Oh, I don't do any of that. Like sometimes I might mist it a little bit before I get started. And sometimes in San Diego, the weather can be so dry. And if you have a wind, it's you know, it's really crazy how quickly it dries on me. So I'll just do that. And that's about it. I try and do it as simple as possible because I don't, yeah. I'm not sure why, because I don't know. It's like then I can work anywhere and I don't have to have one, like I'm so used to like doing certain things. And if you miss something, you don't bring something, it's like, oh no, I missed that and I can't do without, I think it's best to have the least amount of things. Although brushes, I do have a lot of brushes. I feel like I carry more brushes around than other artists. And I'm just going to re-blue this up here. And nice to have just some hot colors in a few places. So just maybe I'll go back to my created brush and just do some dry brushing. And then I was using some of this King's blue to kind of like, it has white in it. So it's almost like it helps fade down the colors just a little bit or tint them. I like that. So I'm just making sort of a dark gray. So ultramarine, alizarin crimson permanent, some burnt sienna. And I'm just going to stretch it up, make some calligraphy. So I'm trying to make this so soft so that when I do something hard, it really sort of pops out. And I don't want, so that's my main place of this. I don't need to have it everywhere. I think I probably did enough of that. Okay. And, it's like, I always think this is like, my wife and I were watching this show called The Bear on Hulu. And, sometimes I was thinking, like when I'm painting, I feel like I'm in a kitchen, and right now it's like something gets dry enough, I need to do a certain process on it. And it's like, it is sort of like a hurry kind of situation. So I'm just trying to create, again, like more going on, more techniques in that area. So that's what that was doing that. And let's see, I think I'm going to do some dry brushing across this. And just want to just kind of pop up. This is teal.
Cobalt teal blue.
Teal blue, cobalt teal blue. Thank you. Thank you for finishing my sentence. I didn't get it out.
Well, you are multitasking. You are
I'm
concentrating
multitasking.
on your
That's right.
painting and answering questions and thinking. So you're doing very good. Thank you.
Oops. Sometimes splattering is not you have to be careful. So I just wanted to break this, so that's why I pulled some out and I added some titanium white to it. And I don't even know if it'll stay like that. And I'm about ready just to do some shadows. And it's still too wet here for me to do anything. I think it might be nice to make a couple straight lines, like poles. Because usually on these farms, they have, some kind of poles. So I'm just going to go back and I'm just going to make like a shadow color. So I think I'm going to use, just because I have more cool colors up here, I'm just going to go warm down below, sort of switch it up. Although sometimes I'll splatter some colors into that. So this is like burnt sienna, ultramarine. I think I'll get maybe a little tiny bit of this Cabasol violet. And
We have a question on Facebook from Susan asking, do you take this palette in plain air or a smaller one?
yeah,
Thank
same
you.
one. Yeah, I try and standardize everything so you're not like struggling trying to, to me they're like, it's your guitar, the thing you're used to playing. and so you know where to reach for the color. So I try and standardize them, although I have a couple different palettes, but usually, so this is it. I'll pack this up. I'll put some paper towels in there and off I go. So I just want to.
You also mentioned during the interview, and you've been working with calligraphic brush marks here. You mentioned in your interview that was on the website saying mark making is one of watercolor's superpowers, but if you go too far, it can drag the whole piece down. Can you speak a little bit more to that idea?
Well, just like this, like I mean, like as you were saying that, here I was doing this, and like making these marks and having, like, I just put this down so, like there's different moistures here, which is sort of what I did with the tree, like that's moist, but that's dry. So as I drug it, you have like just different things going on. But I think it's so easy in watercolor because we can't go back. There's no like replay, or it's not like Photoshop and I can go back in history when I make that mark. But if you get used to making marks and know when to pull back, just like when I was doing this, if you noticed, like I would do like a very quick mark, and then I would sort of back off of it a little bit and be a little bit more careful. And I think, did I answer that question? I don't even know. Did that answer that? Does that make sense? A little bit?
Sure, thank you.
I'm just trying to.
Lydia is asking if you, at the moment, you're painting by heart, or you have a photo as a guide.
Well, some of it, because I painted this scene once before, and I'm going by the sketch, which is right above here.
Mhm.
So I get to look, and to me, this is that degree of separation that, if a lot of times if I have a photo, I'll stop looking at the painting and I'll start looking at the photo. And I think that's not, it's like, I think you have to have a dialogue with the painting. So funny, it's, I mean, he's not someone who I think gets mentioned so much these days, but Jackson Pollock, there's a movie that he did that was, he's like, they have a camera under like a piece of glass, and he's painting on this glass, and the camera's looking up at him as he paints. And he just said, he said, he has this part where he says, I'm losing my connection to the painting, and he stops, he won't go on. And I think that's true with, it's so true about painting, like you got to have a connection to what you're doing. And if you lose it, it's it's hard to get it back. And it's like sometimes, and it's just a feeling. I think painting is sort of mysterious that way. It's like some of them can work out, they work out great, and we don't know why. I think we think we know why, but sometimes that's not the case, because if it was, I think we'd just be belting out, most artists I know, they say that it's like 1 out of 10 paintings really has something to it. And I think I'm about there. I think like 1 out of 10 seems like it's right. So it is hard to do this and talk at the same time. So I'm just trying to make some animals. That's what these little blobs are. And this is that thing that I might do, excuse me, when like I put it up on the wall, I have a little time with it, so I can be a little bit more strategic. It's, and I just want to, now I'm using this tiny brush, and it's sort of a short hair. It can't carry much water, so it's mostly paint. It's mostly thick. And I'm just trying to use that to do sort of connect this whole area as it comes down here. And I do have a palette knife I do this with, but sometimes my finger is quicker and I don't even see my palette knife.
Exactly, it's quicker.
It's quicker. You have to do, I have to flip the pancakes right now. And so,
God-given tool.
yes, that's right. And it's so, and it's so perfect.
Exactly.
It is.
Do you know that
mean-
Louis left 2 of his fingernails very long to do exactly that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think it was his like smaller finger, or maybe his index finger. I cannot remember. But it's extra long to be able to do the scratching.
Mhm, mhm. Well, I mean,
Shit, you're talking about the mark making when you put the
yeah,
little
I made this out of
hole.
like, this is Teflon, and
Oh.
you know, it's not quite as good. It's like sharper. So if you need to really dig in,
Okay.
I love your animals.
I know,
Well,
I
it
just,
has come really with these last details. It has come so much more
Yeah.
alive.
Yeah, it's
Incredible.
beautiful.
oh, the animals.
Yes,
The animals, the poles.
yeah.
Oh yeah, just a little bit. Right. Yeah. I know. And I'm really trying to thicken up the paint, and so that I can, you know, and these directions are very important too. Like, I don't want to make them, usually it's like I kind of go with my intuition. You know, does it look better this way, or does it look better this way? You know, this sort of points us to this area, but I don't know. And
Jeff,
yeah.
Gabriel Stockton is here, and he
All
said,
right.
I've never seen him painting anything else than boats, harbors, and street scenes. Well, maybe that's the ocean in the background. Is that
Behind,
sky
yes.
or
You
ocean?
cannot
Yeah.
see it, but it's just behind the house.
Yeah,
know,
I can
through
tell.
that little hole.
So Gabriel, he's not straying too far.
He's not. It's in Sonoma. It has a coast. Oops. So I'm really, now it's like, it's funny how the big stuff is taken care of. Now I'm just doing like little stuff. And, you know, this is that part where as you get closer, it's so easy to mess things up, and to do something that just feels like you go over that. Oh, it's just too much. And also it can get dark so quickly as well. So someone stopped me when I
When do you know you're finished?
My
Hmm,
my second question also, and Sandra just asked, when do you know you're finished? You mentioned in your interview about being patient with yourself and others. Can you expand on that also?
oh, well, I think too, I was thinking about how you know, when we make mistakes, it's like you just like, I feel like I can be really hard on myself. And I think and then what I love about watercolor is you get lots of chances to make mistakes. And if you let yourself, oh, I'll just grab another piece of paper, I'll just try it again. It's like you're going to learn so much more, so much faster than if you beat yourself up. And I kind of apply that when I'm dealing with others, you know, being patient with yourself, being patient with others, and just, you know, and I think it works. I mean, for me, being like, and also, you know, like I've been around people that are hypercritical, and it's just like, nah, that's just, you know, like it doesn't belong for in the creative process.
You know, Raffaele Cicaleni, he said, intuition is the word. Bravo. So
There you go. I know this is still wet right here. Now, if I was outside, like I'm racing and I'm having to miss this all the time. But I like that there's different, you know, like the sharpness of this versus that being just a little bit soft. Like, to me, like that, I kind of like, it kind of creates like a rhythm if it works out well. But I think that's it. I think I'm just about done. I'm at that point where I have to think about the next thing I do, or I can just mess it up. But man, it's almost feel like I want to put a person here. Maybe I'll just do that. you know, and I love taking a photo of what I do and looking at it this big, you know, even like this big. And then I'll notice totally different things that I wouldn't if I'm this close to the piece looking down at it. Like something will stick out to, you know, I'll go, oh God, I gotta fix that, you know, like this thing.
Jeff, Dina would like wanting to know, sorry, I cannot talk all of a sudden. Dina was wanting to know how you made the highlights on the animals. Is that just the white of the paper?
Just the white of the paper, yeah. Right,
Thank
it's just
you.
something I left. And when I was making those big quick strokes with, I don't even see it now. I try and pick brushes that are soft enough that I can do a nice drag and they leave like these little bits. And some of it is the mixture and how fast you do it. And some of it's the brush and how you touch the paper. And, you know, the more you paint them and try that, the better, the more likely you're going to be able to control that where you want that to happen. And, but that's how I get those. And then I'll leave them. And, you know, I even like, I think I might add some more to this, but I even like how jaggedy the top of this is. I mean, I think those are nice things that happen that I think I'm just gonna put some color on that really quickly. I don't know how are we doing on time?
It's so nice to hear your thinking process while you're painting.
Oh,
You have about 7 minutes left, and we saw you go through the process and coming to the moment of, I'm done. I see that I'm getting very close there. Can you articulate the process of when you realize, Sandra was asking this question earlier, when do you know you're done?
I think, how do I know I'm done? I think you start making, when the things that you're doing are mistakes. Like, you know, I was saying how in the beginning I'm throwing paint in here and I'm pushing, you know, doing all this stuff, and none of it seems like a mistake. None of it feels wrong. It all feels right, you know. And it's hard to make a mistake in the beginning, really. I feel like, but as time goes on, you get closer to the end, like every little thing seems to stand out more and more. And as soon as I start to get that feeling where, oh no, I shouldn't have done that. Oh. And then I think that's the alarm, sets the alarm off to say, oh, okay, I should stop because I need to think about that next little step. So, but also taking a picture of it if you can, even if you're out in the field, in the studio, whatever. I mean, some people use a mirror and they'll look, you know, anything to get a distance from the piece, leave the room, come back, you know, and so you can see it differently. I think that's how you can make, it helps you make that determination of if you're
taking a distance, more or less, taking a distance from your painting, right?
Right, getting some distance from the painting, and something that might catch your eye that you don't want to catch your eye. I think then okay, let me deal with that. And like I kind of felt like I had 2 white roofs and I felt like I need to get rid of one. And I sort of like how this, talk about mistakes, it looks like I have a drop right there. But I like how this kind of comes in. I like that that roof opens up a little bit. I like that this is a hard edge here. So I like having both. I like having just this little powerful dot right here. Like, I think that's probably the most powerful mark I made.
Yeah, like that's nice. That the person, yeah.
Person,
right,
yes.
and it just has to be that, and I'm done. You know.
Yeah,
so.
did you make your wall easel or did you purchase it?
So I made this, and it's a, I could take it apart really quickly. I hope it goes back together. Now you see what's underneath the hood here. So this is a tripod, a ball head tripod. It's a really nice one, so it can carry a lot of weight. And on, I can flip, oops, if I can flip this, I put
Oh,
a piece,
clever.
this is gator board. I glued a piece of wood and put a threaded insert through the wood that I could screw my quick release, that black thing into.
Yeah.
And that just fits into this. And I have several of these in my studio. So if I am working on, usually I don't work on too many pieces at the same time,
That's a great idea.
but I
That's
just
lovely.
love
You-
that I have this flexibility
Move it around. Yeah.
to move
You
it.
paint mainly standing up then?
Yeah, I have back problems. And so sitting down just irritates it. And so I'm more comfortable. I try and keep moving. And so this helps me do that.
Where do you like to sign your painting? BJ is asking.
I think like everything, how like I'm deciding about what's going on, like, oh, do I need something here? I think I feel the same way about the signature, in the sense that, like, if I put it here, will that stand out too much? I think it would look okay. So I think I will, but if I thought it was going to be too distracting here, I'd put it over here. And the color, I've been sticking with red, the red that I use. And so I was telling someone I put a little titanium in it just so it pops a little bit. And sometimes I mix a few colors into it as well. But yeah.
I think the signature is like such a part of the art as well. I love your signature.
Bravo.
And I can
Could you do something for us, please? Could you remove the tape?
oh, sure. Okay, yeah, maybe I could do that instead of what I was going to do.
Exciting moment.
I know, I always
We have
forget
a
that
thing with the
part,
tape
removing the
seal.
tape.
Yes, yes,
It's
Like
so
the unveiling.
satisfying.
yes.
The reveal, yay.
The reveal.
Yes, pull
Yeah.
that tape, pull that tape.
Oh, wow.
What
It pops up
brush do you
so much.
Yay!
Thank
Bravo.
you. Bravo, bravo.
Bravo.
What a
Beautiful.
wonderful demo.
It was
Beautiful.
wonderful demo.
Oh, I was just gonna
Wow.
say, like, because I think it's fun too. It's like looking at the little stuff that happens.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
Beautiful.
Like, I like that little clump a lot. Like, did I do that, or what? How did that happen?
The water did probably.
Yeah,
What a gorgeous painting.
beautiful.
Wow.
And you
painting.
so
did it
much.
in under an hour. That's
I know.
incredible.
Oh boy! Wow,
So fast.
amazing.
Thank you, and it was very interesting. I learned a
Yes.
lot.
My pleasure.
Thank you. So
Thank you.
inspiring, but it's freezing up where I live. I need to wait for it to get warmer.
Before you head out, I guess it helps to paint quickly then, huh?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Before
very
you-
impressive.
Yes, wonderful.
Thank
Very
you for the
imp-
opportunity.
Everyone is complimenting a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Inspiring. I love it.
And Juliet van der Verderberg, she says, thank you for the great lesson. I liked it. I think you know her. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, well, I have, let me just see, where is it? Oh, I have a little piece of paper with my little promo for my Instagram, my Facebook and website. And I have quite a few workshops and stuff. So if you're interested in taking one, just, check out my website.
Will
Yeah.
do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you,
Thank
Jeff.
you.
Wonderful.
Stay
Okay.
warm, everybody.
Okay.
Yes, yes. Bye.
Jeff, we
Okay.
had all
Thank you.
those-
Bye.
Everyone.
Bye.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
weekend.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.